we closed in-person programming on March 12th and then really dove into what does that mean to the community that we need to stay engaged with, and how can we continue to connect. And that was really sort of, and has been, our driving force of decision making, is community and connection. And what do we do creatively inside of that to make sure that stays constant?
5, 7, 8. Breathe through it. The amount of animals that you now see in our classes has skyrocketed. It's almost like the animals are taking dance classes. We're not video editors per se. Right. So it was a whole process of, like, you know, at first you just think that you're going to film a class and then you're going to share it with people. But in the end, it takes a lot more work than what you thought. 5, 6, 7, 8. High knees. 1, 2, 3, 4. We really were trying to keep that sort of community, but also accessibility with our dance. So all of our classes were meant for all ages and all abilities.
All you need for today's class is a pair of comfy clothes, a little bit of space to dance in, and either a pair of jazz shoes or your bare feet. So every single time we take a step, we're gonna switch the leg that we're using. So if we start with this leg, now we need to use this leg. Step back. Now we switch to this leg, back to this leg.
Good, nice. In terms of Zoom classes that were for our pre-professional students, that just had to adjust of, like, okay, what areas are our students dancing in, and how do we need to adjust the movements and stuff that we're sort of sharing with them to try to keep them in shape.
I want to talk about the transition from the rounded jump into your back attitude. From here.
One of our experiments right now for these kids who went through this final section of their spring semester in the pre-professional program, who would have been working towards a final performance. We are having a final spring concert performance of this in a drive-in movie style, so that people can still come and be in relative proximity to each other, but far apart, staying in their cars, but still be able to be in that, like, community. It's hard to accept sometimes, for sure. I would say that's the part that's hardest, I think, is to say, like, to not go to your regular thinking of, like, but that's not how we do it, you know, but, well, that's not true anymore. Like, so just trying to reframe everything takes definitely some unraveling of many, many years, decades of habits. How you go about, you make something and you bring it to an audience. And now suddenly we have to kind of reverse that conversation. How might we get it to an audience before we think about what we make, which is different. It just changes that process.